Hey, welcome into 302 Sports and our Pigskin picks. We're into week three of the Delaware High School football season, and our Pigskin picks are presented by Compete Event Management. Compete Event Management runs wrestling tournaments throughout the state and even have an apparel line that can be personalized for your tournament. Not looking to run an event, but looking for competition? Compete events are where you want to be. They're well run and organized. Their next upcoming event is this weekend, the Primal Showdown, September 21st, St. George's Otech in Middletown. So, Jason, welcome aboard. We have Jason Winchell, part of our 302 crew, and we'll get started with. I guess you guys have looked tough slate of games this week. So let's get started. Trey, Friday night, 3:30 start, Indian River at Conrad.
Yeah, that's a long trip for IR in the middle of the day. It's an odd start time, but Grice, Handy, and Stokes and company, I think they'll be fine here. I like Indian River on the road.
Jason, your thoughts? You know this. You've seen Conrad and Indian River has really proven themselves over the last 2 years.
Yeah, Conrad has challenged themselves early. They've gone, played two 2A teams. They played a third 2A team in Indian River. I just think Indian River has too much depth and too much talent for Conrad. But I think it'll be a close game because it's a long bus ride, a Friday afternoon game. Because no lights at Conrad, I expect a real close game, but I think Indian River pulls away late.
They still have that weird field where the track goes behind the bleachers.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking of. All right. 3:30 start. Odd start for high school football. But after a season opening win, Conrad fell to 1-1 last weekend, and this week they welcome just a red hot Indian River team looking to extend that winning streak. This just boils down to simply bad timing on the schedule. Indian River is going to move to 4-0 here. Big game up north, big 2A game Saturday at 11. DMA at Archmere. Trey.
Yeah, both teams suffer close and maybe surprising losses to some people. So this is kind of becoming a rebound game for both teams. Um, Kind of that scenario. I like Archmere at home just with both teams kind of rebounding. Kind of a little shock from previous week, so I'll take Archmere at home.
Jason, we probably thought coming into this game these two teams would be undefeated, but they each suffered a loss last week. Who do you got?
Yeah, I've been back and forth, Benny, since you emailed me this pick last night. I was at that St. Mark's Archmere game last week, and Archmere had two 14-point leads in that game before St. Mark's came back and won. But they got a few injuries in that game, which could leave them shorthanded this week against DMA. I think it's more of a must win for Archmere based off their schedule that they have coming up. So I'm going to take the Auks at home.
Both teams, they have a loss that they'd like to get a mulligan for. And I think those losses are what's going to make this a good game. Both teams are probably refocused. The Seahawks and the Auks always seem to play good games. But for me, that 8-6 loss against 3A Hodgson may have been a moral victory for DMA, while Archmere had a victory snatched away late by a hungry St. Mark's team. So give me Delaware Military for the win. I'm going to go against you guys on this one. Tower Hill and St. Elizabeth. Trey, you talked about last week. St. Elizabeth still hasn't left the city of Wilmington yet, playing their fourth game.
Yeah, it's gotta be nice for those ADs, man. Tower Hill faces their third straight single A team in a row, and they haven't really been challenged yet. And St. E's got a nice win last week over Wilmington Charter. But the last time they played a 2A team, they were blown out by Archmere 43-6. So, St. E's nice and comfortable. Like you said, they haven't left Wilmington yet, but I'm gonna take Tower Hill on the road.
Jason, Tower Hill, year in, year out. Usually we don't talk about them until about week 8, week 9. But here they are 2-0, and they're a team that may be on the hunt in Double A.
Yeah, I believe they even cracked our Super Sevens this week
Yeah, they
towards the
did.
bottom. But yeah, like Trey said, their two wins are against single A teams. They got in third one in St. Elizabeth. St. Elizabeth is ranked high, and I've seen them play. It's gonna be I think a good game, but at the end, I like Tower Hill to pull off the win.
This looks like a typical Tower Hill football team, solid, quietly winning games. St. Elizabeth, they're going to be a player in single A come November. But the Hillers, they're going to prove a little bit too much for them Friday night. Tower Hill gets the win, moves to 3-0. Here's one of several good games on the slate this week. Trey, 7 o'clock Friday night, Lake Forest versus Dover.
Yeah, Lake Forest has a chance to prove that they're a giant slayer this week. They had a decisive win over Class 3A Cape and Lupin last week. Quarterback Jack Parson takes a show on the road for the Spartans against a still an unknown Dover team that fell to number 4 ranked Appo by 2 touchdowns. Appo has been a really tough team the last few years. We don't know much about Dover. They were within 2 scores, but that Lake Forest team impressed me last week. I'm going to take Lake Forest on the road here.
Jason.
Yeah, this is a really good game. Dover had the week off after that win against Appo, so they had the week off while Lake played really well against Cape Henlope, and I think the momentum carries over for Lake, and I see them getting the W.
Spartans again, probably coming off their biggest win in recent years. They knocked off 3A Cape and Lopin 35-14 last week. Dover presents some problems for Lake Forest, mostly size. Can Lake Forest push them around up front? Um, the Lake Forest defense, Josh Webb, one of Trey's former baseball teammates, a kid I coached a little bit, he has got that defense going. They're aggressive, and they caused all kinds of problem for a talented Cape and Lopin team last weekend. I'm not sure if I consider this an upset, but give me 2A Lake Forest to win here over 3A Dover. Let's move to what I thought was going to be a must-win game. Now it's not with that big win for St. Mark's. Saturday noon in Newcastle, St. Mark's at William Penn. Trey.
Yeah, the Colonials' backs are against the goalpost here. With district play beginning in 2 weeks, this may be their best chance to get a win this season. They won this game last year, 14-13, but since then that quarterback's moved away. And this St. Mark's team seems to be inspired. They had that big come from behind win last week. I believe the week prior they jumped out to a big lead and just kind of let it slip away. I think St. Mark's can put points on the board and find a way to win this one on the road. I'm gonna go St. Mark's.
Jason, William Penn's big. Is that going to cause problem for the Spartans?
It could, Benny. I saw them last week. Like I said, I saw St. Mark's last week against Archmere, and Archmere gave that defense some fits early in the game. I thought St. Mark's made great adjustments, especially in the second half of that game. To get that victory at the end. I really think that got them the momentum. Again, it's only the fourth game for new coach Bill DiNardo. I think St. Mark's is starting to get into his system. Kind of two offenses last week. They ran a no huddle, hurry up offense in the first half, and then the normal Bill DiNardo 9-minute drives in the second half. And I think that's key. If St. Mark's can control the time of possession, I think they're going to get out of William Penn with the win.
William Penn, they had a much needed bye week to regroup and get ready for St. Mark's. But the Spartans had an emotional come from behind win over Archmere, an Archmere team that's had their number in recent years. Um, really, all week have been leaning William Penn, but a kicker at St. Mark's, he's a weapon, and he could be the difference. I like St. Mark's to win here and go to 2-2 on the year. A Class A game, two teams that were double A last year, now they're Class A. Saturday, 11 a.m., Concord at Delcastle. Trey?
Yeah, this was Concord's only win last year as both teams dropped down to Class A for the season. Both teams return a lot of talent, but Concord has 25 seniors on the team this year. It's a big Class A game, and I hope it gets the fan support to make it even more exciting. Um, this is a back and forth one. Um, I like the higher ranked team at home. I'm gonna go Delcastle.
Okay. Jason.
Yeah, Concord has two shutout wins to start the year, and like you said, more wins than they had all of last year. They're going to Delcastle, a team they beat last year. Delcastle, kind of hard to figure them out. They played an out-of-state team we don't know too much about, and then I think they got a win over Dickinson. So I've been back and forth all week on this one, and I'm going to take Concord to go 3-0.
We may see these two teams thrive in single A. While I had Delcastle as one of the top teams early in the season, and I still think they're going to be a playoff team. Concord has been a surprise, but an impressive surprise. Um, I'm going to take Concord for this reason. It's kind of selfish. Uh, Jason, look down the schedule. This could set up a Brandywine Concord game, week 10, for the district title. Two neighborhood schools. Be great to see
10:30 in
them.
the morning.
Yeah, early in the morning. I'm gonna go Concord just because I want to see that matchup. I could be totally off base here, but that could be a great matchup to end the season. Let's move to which I think is the best game so far this year within the state. Howard, number one ranked team in Double A versus number four ranked Appoquinimink in 3A. Trey?
Yeah, how about the side Yeoman versus Jameson Bryant, two of the top quarterbacks in the state? Howard has been lighting up scoreboards and have two shutouts. But this week it's a top 3A team on the other side, and Appo's scoring at will themselves. Even though this is a 2A versus 3A, I think this is the best game of the week, like you said. Um, I think you throw divisions out the window here. You don't worry about 2A and 3A. You worry about two really good football teams that can score. With that being said, I like Appo for the reason they're at home. They can score just as much, and I think their defense will find a way. So I'm gonna go Appo.
Jason, two of the top quarterbacks in Delaware.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's going to be a good game, and I think you're going to see both quarterbacks thrive on Friday night. I think this is going to be a back and forth game, but at the end, I like Appo because they are at home, and I think they have a little bit more depth and roster size than Howard. But I think it's going to be back and forth all night.
This will be Glenn Frazier's game, up the northern game of the week. He'll have the call, and as Trey indicated, this will uh, be a showcase at the quarterback position. Who will be the dominant cat on Friday night? The Wildcats are the cream of the crop in 2A, and the Jaguars, I think they just have going to have too many weapons on the field. Appoquinimink wins here. And our downstate game of the week, Friday night, 6 o'clock, myself and Jim Tackle have the call here. Milford at Woodbridge. Trey?
Yeah, Milford's shown they can score, while Woodbridge has shown they have not, or not been able to. But if you take out two of those 3A games, and Woodbridge has showed they have defense, and thus far Milford has been in shootouts, so they've not really shown much defense. I think Woodbridge is a really tough environment to play at for visitors. The whole town comes out. It's Sussex County football at its finest. Um, and then back and forth. Like I said, I think that defense for Woodbridge, they showed that when they played in the division. I think the defense at home. I think Coach Dooley's going to find a way to start getting the ball in the end zone. I'm going to go Woodbridge at home.
Jason, they don't want to close, or Milford's not going to want to close in the fourth quarter. Who you got?
Yeah, it's this has been a tough one because, like Trey said, Woodbridge has scored 7 points all year. Now they did go up twice and played two good 3A teams, but they've struggled to score. Milford has not. Their defense has given up a lot, so I just like Woodbridge at home. I think they need the win. They need to get 2-2 and set it up because they got Howard coming up and they got their District 3 games, which are going to be tough. So I think they need to get the win at home.
Milford's had it rough to start the season, to say the least. At least at last second loss to Conrad, followed by a loss to Indian River, a team that hasn't skipped a beat since winning that state title last year. The road doesn't get any easier this week. And don't let Woodbridge's 1-2 record fool you. Those losses came to two ranked Class 3A teams. Milford does not want to start 0-3 before district play begins. A win here for the Blue Raiders, though, gives them valuable points towards the Class AA state tournament because remember, they're picking up 4 points for those two losses early on. As Trey noted, it's going to come down to can the Woodbridge offense find the end zone and can Milford's defense stop them? Uh, Looking back at that Woodbridge goal line stand on the extra point to beat Friends 7-6, I'm taking Woodbridge to get the win at home and move to 2-2. So, Jason, let's get back to the game I find most interesting, and I'm sure if you had a chance to get to it, you would. Lake Forest, Dover.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a real key game because we saw a lot from Lake Forest last week in that huge win over, at the time, 2-0 Cape Henlopen. And then you get another 3A team, like you said, they're going to get 2 bonus points just for playing the game, and a chance to pop at least a 6-point win if they pull it out. So, yeah, I think it's a big game for both teams. I think we'll find more of what Dover's about. They played good against Appo, but this Lake team is really tough.
Trey, you got to be back in the box last week, so came out of retirement for a week. But what game gets your attention this week?
Well, you already brought the one up, Lake Forest over, but man, that Howard Appoquinimink game. I mean, That's easy money to want to watch. That's like I said, throw the divisions out. That's two really good teams, really well coached teams, high scoring teams. That's a fun game to watch. And then your game of the week, Milford Woodbridge, back before the three divisions. That was always a tough game. One of the big ones we always videoed. So both those games really catch. I know they're the easy layup answers, but they're going to be some fun games to watch, and you're going to see some good football in them.
So, folks, that is our slate for this week. Last week, John Busby went 7-1, but Jason still the only guest to ever go 8-0. Did throw a tough one at you this week. Tough slate at you this week, but I know you can handle it. So it won't be long before you're back down in the bunker. We're at week 3, and district play coming up, and these early games we're going to be talking about in about 4 or 5 weeks. Outcomes of those games early on pick up tournament points, Jason.
Yeah, it really is. And I started doing some 2As last night. That's why I said I really think this week is a kind of a must win for Archmer more than DMA, because DMA has a couple 3A teams on their slate that Archmer doesn't. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. These games, early season games, those points matter just as much as they do at the end. So these are some very important games here in week 4.
Yeah, I open up a spreadsheet every year, but I don't even start messing with 2A until we get down to about week 8 because it's the wild, wild west
Yes.
every year. Okay, I want to thank you guys for this week's picks, and we'll see everybody else on kickoff. Remember, we're on a new platform. Jason, can you give us the website to that because I can never remember it?
I think it's play302sports.com.
Yeah, I think you can also go 302sports.com, and then
Right.
you just kind
Click
of
on
find
the
your way around there to the upcoming videos and I tell you what, the quality is way better than what we had on YouTube. Now it's just a matter of getting them recorded and everything working straight. We're working the bugs out for everybody, but we'll be at it again this Friday night. Jason, will you be at the game Friday?
Yes, yeah, I will be there Friday night.
So you'll be
It's
with Glenn at the App
yeah.
Ohio game, and I'll be with my crew down at Woodbridge for the Milford game. Folks, have a good night. See you kickoff.